Hello everybody, I am so excited because today we are coming to you from a cabin in the mountains of North Carolina. Obi and I are here for our anniversary week, and I thought it would be fun while we're here to do a video where I'm answering your relationship questions, and then I thought it would be even more fun to taste all of the fall treats that I could get from my shipped order from Target. This is literally every fall item that was available for delivery. So we're gonna dive right in, but first, because I'm actually like not the biggest sweet treat person, but I think if you have coffee with your sweet treats, it makes it like softens it or something. So we're gonna start with coffee. I have a little iced coffee here. This is just the Starbucks blonde iced coffee. You can get it at Target, and I'm a big fan. Like, that's like my favorite vacation coffee. We're gonna do the Starbucks pumpkin spice creamer. I had the best shipped shopper experience, you guys. Like I think we're friends, where like everything that I wanted was like out, but then he would find like one of the thing. And with the creamer, I couldn't find this online, so I ordered like a coconut almond milk pumpkin spice creamer. And then he texted and said, "Oh, I'm so sorry, they're out of the one you ordered. They do have a Starbucks one." And I was like, that's the one I wanted. So it was a good experience. I should have opened this beforehand. Okay. Dun dun. Give it a good shake. Let's do it. It's kind of syrupy, so I'm not gonna put too much because I don't know. Let's see. I'm gonna do a little more than that though. It's less than milk. It's like very syrupy. Just a heads up, be warned. If you're an ASMR person, you're gonna like this video, and if you're not, you might want to skip through. Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's really good. My coffee's a little watered down because it took me a little while to get started, but I'm not mad about it. So I'm gonna pull up our relationship questions, and then I'll get started on our snacks. We have the pumpkin spice almonds from Archer Farms, and it says it's in white chocolate coating, seasoned with pumpkin pie spice and bourbon vanilla bean, or bourbon. Okay. I'm gonna answer a question, and then we're gonna taste this almond. Okay, question one. What's one topic that you have agreed to disagree on as a couple? I think that we are generally politically aligned in that regard. Like, we agree on things, but we've kind of agreed to disagree around how much we need to talk about it. Like, I'm not someone who needs to talk about it very much. It's like what he like lives and breathes. He like loves talking about it, and I don't. So I think we kind of disagree that we discuss it too much, if that makes sense. Okay. So this like coating is the white chocolate. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know. I don't know what I expected, but this isn't it. It's not like a hard shell. Like, this is like the white chocolate itself, like the outer coating. It's just an almond underneath it. I like this one better. This one's the vanilla bean one. I like it better. The pumpkin spice one had like a weird fake taste to it that I wasn't a fan of. I won't buy this again, Kyle. Like, we're not gonna do that again. I don't know why I dislike that so much. I love almonds and I love white chocolate and I like spices, but all of that together was not my thing. What has been the greatest unexpected surprise of your two types in relationship? This is talking Enneagram type, so I'm an Enneagram type 7, which is like the positive, like always want to be positive, always want to think about the bright side. My husband's a type 4, who's kind of like more, I want to feel all of the emotions honestly. I think the greatest unexpected surprise for me has been the way it felt after my dad died, feeling like he could hold that space with me. I think you don't really know how much you need someone's gifts until they're able to use them in your life, you know what I mean? So like his ability to sit with pain, his ability to like go there and not be like overwhelmed by my darkness when I was going through like a really hard time, and like still am. He's like down for that and not freaked out by it. Whereas like I have a harder time sitting with like both mine and other people's darkness. So yeah, I would say that. I don't know if it's an unexpected surprise, but I think like a benefit of my type structure in our relationship is that I help us to travel more. Like I'm not afraid to take risks. And so because of that, we get to travel a little bit more often because I kind of been like, it's gonna work out, it's gonna be great. So I think that my type structure brings that in. What is it like working with your spouse? Benefits, challenges, and tips. So benefits are, you know, that we have like the same schedule, so we can travel together. For the most part we do. And so we can travel together, I don't have to worry so much about like he doesn't have to ask off work if, you know, things are hard. Or it's really great with like childcare stuff. Like we don't have to pay anyone for childcare because he can be there. Downsides, challenges are definitely the boss employee dynamic is really tricky and difficult. Like if I need to give him feedback or I need to ask for more or that kind of thing, because there's so many emotions tied into our relationship already, that those conversations are much more complicated than they are with like a typical employee. And I have to kind of say like, you have to respect my role in the business, and that's awkward and uncomfortable to kind of establish. You know, boss employee dynamic, there's already kind of like a respect of the authority and of the business owner, you know? So having to kind of like create that is dicey. What is one thing you do for your partner you wouldn't otherwise do? Oh, we kind of talked about this, and I think it's for me, like if I were not in a relationship, I probably wouldn't live anywhere specific. Like I would probably be more nomadic. But with Obi, we have Ford and our little, and he has to be in Asheville. So because of that, I stay in Asheville, but I would probably move around more often and potentially not even have like a home base. I would probably just travel full time. Let's pick another snack. I'm gonna go for like, I don't want to eat the popcorn yet because it's gonna get in my teeth. Let's do this guy. This is another Archer Farms pumpkin spice cream filled rolled wafers. Like these wafers are like one of my favorite like holiday treats. So I hope I like the pumpkin spice version of it. They're like in bags in there. Do I like pumpkin spice? I actually don't know that I like pumpkin spice very much according to our first two flavors. It kind of tastes like an old person's house. Well, like you're not supposed to be eating it. But the texture of these things is just so phenomenal that I'm gonna put it in the maybe pile. Like I might get these again, but not sold. How did the proposal happen? We went to Iceland together, and while we were in Iceland, we took a tour of like these like big icebergs and waterfalls and glaciers. And while we were at one of the waterfalls, he proposed. It was kind of funny because I had found the ring earlier in the week, but I didn't know what it was. Like I just like went through all these, I'm kind of snoopy, like when we're staying in an Airbnb. And so I was like going through all the boxes that were like on the wall. They had like all these random boxes. And I found a ring box in one of them. And I just kind of like didn't think about it and look at it. I just kind of closed it and put it back up there. Because, you know, if you're someone who's ever gotten, I don't know about you, but like for me, when I get something in a ring box, I keep the ring box around, but I don't really use it and I don't know what to do with it. So it ends up in like a box inside of a box inside of a box. So I kind of just assumed that's what it was. And then we went to the waterfall and it was so cold, it hurt. Like the wind's like coming off of a glacier. So it's just like freezing cold. We could like barely stand. And I'm trying to like, I'm like, okay, we saw the waterfall. Like, let's go back into the warm air and like get a hot chocolate or something. And I'm like turning around to leave. And he's like, hey, come back. I'm like, turn around. And he was like, will you marry me? But it was like so loud, he couldn't give like a big speech or anything. Like, and he like, it was like very awkward because it was so cold. But it was really sweet. We had some strangers take a picture of us, and then he had like a whole thing planned, but he couldn't do it because of the weather. So when we got into the little cafe that's like nearby, he like played me this, there's this Adam Sandler song from The Wedding Singer that he played me because I'm a big Adam Sandler fan. And he like played me the song, and we like cried, and he like did the whole thing that he was gonna do outside. And it was fun too because we were on the tour with a bunch of people, so he told the tour guide that we just kind of gauged, or I told the tour guide that we just kind of gauged, and she like made a big announcement on the bus and stuff. It was really fun. Kit Kat. Kit Kats are like my favorite, like one of my favorite. Heath bars are my favorite, and then Kit Kats are like up there though. These are like what I get at the movie theater. What is your movie theater candy? Comment below, let me know. Okay, this is promising. I like the like fake orange Kit Kat. Okay. This is good. I don't think I like pumpkin spice. I got all this pumpkin spice stuff. I don't think I'm a fan. I don't know what's in it. Maybe it's the nutmeg that's in it. I don't like. I'm gonna put these in the like I would repurchase though. Like I think I'd get those again. This is like a full-on mukbang, you guys. Okay, what is next? Silliest miscommunication that represents your different Enneagram types. Honestly, I think sometimes when we're just having discussions about like ideas or thoughts, it can often feel like I will like shut it down because it feels like we're getting into like argument territory or like debate territory. And I don't like to feel like I have to like deeply defend my thoughts and ideas. But that's just kind of like how his energy runs. Like he's very much like enjoys a debate, likes to defend his stances, and I do not. So I don't know if that's silly, but that's like a common miscommunication where it's like, who started this? Who turned this into a debate? We would disagree on that usually, most of the time. Okay, these are Pepperidge Farm pumpkin cheesecake soft baked cookies. I should put like a mesothelioma. If you are someone who like freaks out when people are eating or rustling bags, this video is your nightmare. But I feel like people with that like aren't gonna click on this video anyway. They're so soft that they're like melted together. This is like a full-on soft cookie, y'all. Like, look. It's official. I don't like pumpkin spice. I don't hate it. I just don't think I'll ever eat it again. I'm gonna put these in the will not rebuy category. I bet Obi's gonna like those though. I don't know, it just tastes like an old house. I didn't know. I love the coffee, so I assumed I would like the snacks. Okay, another question. How do you handle arguments? Sometimes better than others. I think you can usually tell when one's coming up. And if we're feeling defensive or like we want to win, it doesn't usually go well. And not going well looks like usually me leaving the room. That's kind of like my MO is like, I'm out. And he's more like gets animated and is more inclined to like be loud about it. And I'm like out of the door. Like when we were earlier in our relationship, before we like figured some stuff out, I would like leave the house. Like I was like, I don't want to argue. But now it's not like that as much. Now we can kind of feel the tension building. Like I've learned to be like, hey, can we have like a really honest, kind conversation about this instead of fighting? Like before the fight comes, because you can kind of anticipate a fight, and I think sometimes like the anticipation of the fight creates the fight. So yeah, that's kind of it. And I feel like we don't argue over anything real. It's always silly stuff, and it's usually because we're hungry or thirsty or tired. It's not because we have like actual things that we need to like figure out. How to balance work life and home life together, both weeks with and without Ford. We work really hard at that. Like we're pretty like intentional and strategic about that kind of thing. So, you know, we have kind of like our routines that help. He's with Ford almost all day, every day. Like he's in school and Ford's in school. So they're at home and then I go to the office, and that helps me to really just hunker down and get more work done. Obi doesn't work full time for me, so he works a couple hours a day. And so it's not too much for him in that regard. And then we always have dinner together, and we ask like the same conversation questions so we can kind of connect. And then it's really important to me that we connect intellectually. That's like how I bond with someone. And so at night, Obi and I try to have a check-in every night and every morning to just kind of feel close. And then on the weekends, we kind of have like our little routines. Before COVID, Ford and I had like alone time, then we'd have family time, and then Obi and Ford would have alone time together so that we could each have our own alone time for ourselves. So like while Obi and Ford are having alone time, like bonding time, I get to have time for myself and vice versa. But since COVID, we kind of stay at home. So we kind of just do what we can. Like one of us will go into the room and the other one will go into the other room, and we let Ford have a little more screen time on the weekends, that kind of thing. So yeah, I don't know if that helps. I kind of non-answered that question, but basically we plan. Every week we try to plan, and we're pretty communicative around what are your needs right now and like how can we get those needs met and work together to make it happen. Knowing that Obi is a 4, Enneagram 4, are there ways that you support him that are specific to 4s? He's very sensitive to feeling blamed. So if I communicate a need and it feels like I'm telling him that it's his fault, that is like really, really tender area. So I soften those edges as much as I can. Sometimes I'm not good at it, sometimes I'm better at it. That's like a big thing that I have to keep in mind for him, is like he will hold on to the feeling that like it's his fault in some way, or he will not hold on, he will like push back on that. Whereas if I can kind of come from a place of like, I'm feeling, this is how I'm being impacted, it goes much better, which I think it's like that for everybody, but I think 4s are a little more sensitive to it. Let's talk about this guy. So this is pumpkin cheesecake cream-filled crispy sandwich cookies. So basically I think this is like an Oreo-esque thing, but the cookie is like a pumpkin spice cookie. Gosh, I don't think I like pumpkin spice. But even the smell of it smells like old people house. But this is what the cookie's like. Focus on the cookie. There we go. All right. It's my favorite so far. Honestly, I'm not a big cheesecake person, but the center is cheesecake and I don't hate it. It's good. And the cookie's good. I would eat this again. I think it'd be really good dipped in like hot coffee. We got a winner. We got a win on that one. I got Twinkies. I've never had a Twinkie. I don't think I've ever had a normal Twinkie. But this is a pumpkin spice Twinkie. Let's see. I'll answer a question while I open this. When do you struggle to connect? I struggle to connect when we're not like hanging out as friends. Like my like romance or whatever is friendship. Like if he's feeling like he's my best friend. If we're not hanging out and we're not talking and we're not playing together, I kind of like shut off. Like there's like a switch that flips in my brain where I just like no longer feel close to him or like anyone. To get back to that like feeling of connectedness and intimacy and like joy, I need to like play and talk and just like kind of feel like we're friends, like more than anything. So that's where I struggle, and he struggles. He'll like want to talk about like things he's read or movies he's watched or news that he's read, and he'll like want to tell me like everything that happened, and that's like a connective thing for him. For me, I'm like, if I wanted to watch that movie, I would watch the movie. And so that can be hard. Like I might have to like listen to him tell me things that. So my camera overheated. So we're coming back to finish that question and try this Twinkie. But yeah, so basically like sometimes the things that like he needs to express or the things that I need to express like aren't easy for the other one to like really stay present with. So we work really hard to gain interest in the things that maybe like aren't our thing, or to have friends who we can talk to about the things that like our partner's not that interested in. Let's try my first Twinkie, and it's pumpkin spice. That's what a Twinkie looks like inside. I don't like it. It was unsatisfying to like watch me not like a bunch of food, but I'm actually like the least picky eater ever too. I think I'm not a big fan of pumpkin spice apparently. Any tips for planning a wedding that feels true to you as a couple? June 21 bride here. We felt like we had a wedding that felt really, really true to us. And here is kind of like the 2 questions I ask myself about every decision. Number 1, why are we doing this? Because there's so many pieces that like you do just because you're supposed, like weddings do that, but then it actually doesn't make any sense, right? Like having a bridal party. For some people, why are we doing that again? Like what's the point? Or having like a wedding and a reception separate. Like you can ask yourself like, why is that necessary? Do I really care about that? Do I want to do that? So ask yourself why. Make sure you have a good answer. The answer can't be because my family wants it and because it's traditional. Like you have to have a better reason than that. Number 2 is ask yourself, is there a way that we can make this more meaningful to us? So we had a morning wedding and we had brunch like at the wedding, like while we were getting married, their brunch was served. And that's because like we're morning people, we love coffee. We wanted it to feel like us, and that's us, like having coffee, eating breakfast, like very casual, but like pretty. And then even like everything can have more depth than you think. So why are we getting married? Where we're getting married? Is there a meaning to this? Or is it just like we picked a pretty place? Yeah, ask yourself why and ask yourself how you can make it meaningful to you specifically. We're getting to the end, you guys. So I have pumpkins, Dove milk chocolate pumpkins. Oh, I think these just have pumpkins like on them. Let's look at it. It's just chocolate. I'm not gonna taste it. It's a little sweet. Out. Looks like that. And it's like very light. I guess it's because it's milk chocolate and not dark chocolate. Treat or treat? Who needs tricks? And it just is like a normal Dove chocolate. So it's kind of, yeah, it's just normal milk chocolate. It's not even in the shape of a pumpkin. Dove really just like, a smart business move. All they did was make orange wrappers and print a pumpkin on it. And they got me to buy it. So, touche, Dove, touche. What does it look like to keep growing together while honoring each individual's growth? Well, we're pretty new. This is our 3rd anniversary, but I think that something that I appreciate very much about Obi is that he always gives me freedom to change and freedom to be whatever I am. And he falls in love with every new iteration of me. And I think I do the same with him. Like, we're seasonal people change, people go through periods of time where they're one kind of way or another kind of way, and finding ways to kind of re-fall in love with each other as things change. So what do I find fascinating about this? What do I find intriguing about this new era of their life and this new period of who they are? I think that that's easier done when you're taking care of yourself, right? Like if I'm meeting most of my own needs through self-care, through boundary setting, through just giving myself what I want and what I need, you know, through relationships outside of my marriage, then my husband needing to be the same as when I met him becomes way less important because like I'm good, right? Like I don't have the same pressure to, I don't have that same kind of pressure to like make sure he's filling all of the roles that I need filled in my life. I'm like meeting most of them. And so as he changes, I know how to advocate for myself, so I can just continue advocating for myself, continue getting my needs met. Yeah, I think that's it. And I think needing someone to stay the same, I think comes from not evolving ourselves or fear of evolution in ourselves. So if we can focus on our own journeys, let them have their journey, and then be delighted and fascinated by the changes that they make in themselves, I think that's the key. Okay, caramel apple corn. I love caramel corn, like so much. So let's try it out. This has like apple slices in it. That's good. Have you ever gone to couples counseling? For sure. We struggled to find a counselor that felt like a good fit for both of us because our counselor was a man and I just felt outnumbered in this really weird way. Like it didn't feel good to me, but at the same time, it was great. Like it was great to have like a time to sit down and talk, someone to ask us really good questions. And now we just have our own individual therapists and that's what we need right now, but we'll likely go to couples counseling again because I think everyone should. If you're not like kind of deciding where you want to allocate your resources, then everyone should be in couple counseling. Right now we're like choosing individual therapy over joint therapy. Pumpkin spice Cheerios. There's so many pumpkin spice cereals. I have had and love pumpkin spice life. There's also pumpkin spice frosted mini wheats, but I just got Cheerios because I thought that was the most interesting. All right, let's try it. Yeah, that's nice. Is it more interesting than normal Cheerios? Well, it's a good time to finish the coffee because I have tea. We have the Harry & Sons pumpkin spice herbal rooibos pumpkin spices. I love rooibos tea because it's not caffeinated and it's delicious. And it has kind of like a thicker body, I think, than most herbal teas. So I already brewed a cup. Oh, I love that. It overheated again, so I don't really know where I was at, but the tea is amazing. I think it's my favorite thing. I still have a lot of questions left, and maybe we could do this again, but I'm gonna pick one more to answer. Let's see what it is. Okay, how do you know the other person is a good partner for you? That is like my existential crisis because I've been married before. And you know, when we got married, I thought like, this is the right person. Obviously, no one marries because you don't think it's the right person. And that marriage, of course, I had doubts and fears, but I think that's normal. But my kind of existential fear is like, well, what if I don't know in this one and we end up like tricked or something? And what I've come to with that is that you know someone's the right person for you every day you figure that out, you know. And I think there's not like a guarantee that life will go as you plan or that we'll make it another 50 years, but I do know that today I want this, and today I can advocate for myself inside of our relationship. And today we're both remaining available to showing up for each other in the ways that we need. When that stops, or if that doesn't exist, then I'm less inclined to have hope, right? Like you have to be willing, you have to both be willing to listen to and meet each other's needs and give each other the space to meet their own needs. And that's how you know someone is right for you, because you're both willing to do the work. I think when the willingness stops, or if the willingness was never there to have like an equitable, loving, tender dynamic, then that's all you can do, right? You're given what you're given, and pay attention to, am I committing to this out of hope for what could be, or am I committing to this out of the good of what is? I think we get ourselves into really tricky situations when we're focused on the hope of what could be versus accepting the reality of what is actually happening and making what is actually here good. So that is my answer to that. Another question that people ask is how we met. We met when I was working at a coffee shop. I had a photography business and I quit that photography business, and so for like 9 months I worked at a coffee shop, and in that time he came in as a customer, wrote me a poem and put it in the suggestion box, and there's like more details to the story that I can share, but that's basically it. That's how we met. And yeah, it's been good. So that's our video for today, you guys. I think if we're gonna pick favorites, I think the tea is my #1 like favorite thing, and then the creamer, of course. And then I think these pumpkin cheesecake cookies or the cereal, those are the ones. We learned something here today, you guys, that I do not like pumpkin spice. I like the coffees, but apparently I don't like it in general. Good to know. Thank you guys for joining me for this Q&A. Let me know if you want me to do another relationship Q&A. I had a lot more questions that I just don't have time to get to right now. So if you want me to do this again, I'll do it. And I'll do another some other form of Q&A. Otherwise, if you haven't already, subscribe. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year, so if you haven't yet, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. It would mean a lot to me and would guarantee that you don't miss a video. I post 2 videos every single week. See you soon. Bye.